Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through today's 7-game slate. Mike, how are you on this Wednesday?
Doing good. Got a lot of tanking going on today. Not surprised. The Spurs saw that Kyrie wasn't going to play, so they're okay. How can we one up them? And they're going to sit most of their front court today. So we are going to be talking a lot of Sandro Mamakhamashvili today, which is right on my alley. But feeling pretty good. It's raining here, so I couldn't get my little hike in. But nice little 7-gamer.
Yeah, the tanking team's not doing that great of a job of tanking.
Yeah,
Spurs
gonna sweat that
won,
22 and a
Rockets won.
half.
So Spurs are 4-6 in their last 10. Very annoying for my season-long under bets. But let's get into it tonight. Let's start there with San Antonio and Dallas. Who do you expect to be on the floor tonight? Let's start with the Dallas side of things.
So it sounds like Kyrie's going to sit, and we still don't know about Tim Hardaway Jr. listed with a calf contusion. So we know, assuming Kyrie, and just to add, Jason Kidd sounded pretty pessimistic at his presser. He was talking about who cares at the end of the regular season? Like, nobody died. It's not a big deal. So you could just tell he's a little frustrated, I think, with the lack of availability from Luka and what looks like Kyrie. So assuming Kyrie's telling the truth, which is another whole other thing. So we should get Jaden Hardy, Josh Green. We'll talk about him in a second. Tim Hardaway Jr. I think is playing because he probably should go, right? Like, as bad as the Spurs are going to be, they're playing well anyways. And then Reggie Bullock, Dwight Powell. We had a comment from if you're into cryptic tweets, we could talk about what Christian Wood said, something about poise. So maybe he's not playing today. I don't know what's up with that. But he could definitely miss. I'll pull up the tweet for those. Everyone loves a cryptic tweet, so gotta get the content out there. So he tweets out "Stay poised." So yeah, I don't know if that means anything, but anyways, So we'll see a lot of ball hunting out of Hardy. Jason Kidd said he shot too many threes the last game, which is somewhat interesting. But it was actually Josh Green who led the team in ball handling. Ran a little hot on dimes. I think it was 9-7 potential assists to assists. Jaden Hardy ran terrible on potentials. He had 10 potentials, 3 assists. So those two guys should play a ton of minutes, especially if Tim Hardaway Jr. sits out. Maxi Kleber was headed for pretty big minutes had this game been close. So he's another guy who really benefits against the Spurs team, who's playing better defense. They've been 17th since the break, a team that was routinely dead last by a lot. So don't know if we could buy that. Obviously, some new pieces being installed, a lot of young players as well. We'll talk about the Spurs in a second. But yeah, this place is just where all the value is today for fantasy.
And then on the Dallas side of things, the other note, not relevant for tonight, but for those of you in best balls and whatnot, Luka's traveling with the team, which sounds optimistic. There's really been no timetable outside of day-to-day relayed for him, but just the idea that he's even traveling with the team on the road is a little bit more optimistic. At least I read it that way. What are your any thoughts there?
Yeah, it's sort of a managed thing based on he was playing through it. We saw him go to the locker room dealing with it in the Suns game, got hurt again. Just kind of can't shake it. So I think this is just kind of like a way to recover here. But it sounds like he should be back. I know you've got Luka on a bunch of best ball teams. I've got him.
I won't for very long because those teams are all going to get eliminated by the time Luka returns. But for those advancing to the finals, if anyone's able to advance a Luka team to the finals, it sounds like we're only a game or two away. It sounds like from my read on things.
Mm-hmm. Should add to I don't want to miss McKinley Wright 4, who also had 10 potential assists. He was basically the backup point guard, picked up pretty good role. He'll be sneaky, especially if Tim Hardaway Jr. sits out. I think they're going to want to play him more. He seems to have the upper hand on Frank Ntilikina. I don't really think Justin Holiday benefits too much just because he's, basically replacing Reggie Bullock and Green. They don't really need his, defense and spacing. They just need creation. Kleber would probably play a little bit more 4. And again, he's a guy I think could really, really pick up some minutes, which would also benefit Powell, especially if Wood's out. So yeah, it could thin out pretty quick. Well, if Tim Hardaway Jr. doesn't play today.
Yeah. All right. On the San Antonio side of things, they listed out Charles Bassey, Kem Birch, Julian Champagny, Zach Collins, Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, all listed out. Notable names not on that list: Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson. Both those players will be available tonight. But the front court, obviously, without Bassey, without Collins, without Sohan, without Kem Birch as well, things get pretty thinned out there. So time to talk about Sandro and who else in the front court tonight.
Yeah, Sandro Mamakhamashvili, definitely a guy who we saw give it to apparently a guy who's not favored for MVP anymore, and Nikola Jokic. He's like even money now. But yeah, Sandro's going to get the start. Capable player. He shoots threes, somewhat adept passer for a guy his size. I picked him up in my season long league. It was like so pumped to do it when I saw the injury report came out. So he's going to be probably the value du jour. We're seeing a lot of random names, Eugene Omoyuri and guys most NBA fans had never heard of before, like a week ago, even probably day of. But anyways, he'll benefit. Trey Jones probably has a minutes limit on him. Would expect him to get the start. Keldon, I'd expect him to play full. I think the reason why he sat yesterday was purely because of back-to-back. Sohan's out, so that put Keita Bates-D up in the starting lineup. And then also Malachi Branham is questionable with a shoulder impingement. Legit injury. I kind of think he sits. Don't have a great read. Obviously, Pop doesn't say anything unless you literally break your kneecap, which I'll talk about Bassey in a second. He's out for the season. That covers that. But yeah, we'll see Dominic Barlow pick up some front court minutes. Doug McDermott, I don't think they listed. Yeah, he's not listed, so he'll play. He'll get a pretty good amount of shots. Probably play a little bit more 4. We'll see Blake Wesley, who plays a lot of 2 defensively, so he'll pick up minutes. Candidate to start as well if they want to keep Devontae Graham as the second unit ball handler behind Trey. Wouldn't be shocked if Devontae Graham started over Trey Jones. A whole lot of iterations here against what should be a pretty bad team on the other side. Yeah, I think that mostly covers it.
Yeah,
could see Gorgie Jan come in there, which I hope not.
It seems pretty likely to me that the starting lineup would be Sandro Mamakhamashvili, Keita Bates-D, a lot of names here, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and then either Devontae Graham or Trey Jones.
Vassell's out.
Or sorry, not Devin Vassell. Devontae Graham, and then Trey Jones. Right?
Yeah.
Like that would be the most likely starting combination. Or do you not start Trey and Devontae together?
Yeah, that's my concern. They like Blake as a wing defender. I don't know if you need that in this spot, but yeah.
And then the backup.
Yeah, I don't think they've started together before. Because they started Malachi, and then him.
Yeah, Malachi would start. I bet Malachi and Graham.
If Malachi's in, he's starting for sure.
If Malachi's available, and if not, then it could be any combination of those guards with the odd man out being the primary backup guard, primary backup Dominic Barlow, primary backup wing Doug McDermott, and then added depth there with Gorgie Jang, right? So that's 9 that they'd have if they didn't have Branham. 10 if they have Branham, I think, is where we're at in terms of number of bodies. So it's going to be thin. There's going to be a lot of value to be had. We'll talk about it more on the DFS show tonight at 5:00 Eastern. Okay, let's get into the questionable tags. Kyle Lowry, questionable once again for the Miami Heat. Any thoughts on the Q tag from Miami?
If he wasn't so old, I would call it a fake Q, but never know with him. We know Miami likes to just throw injury tags on people, so he should be good. No real alarming quotes. We saw the minutes get cut pretty hard. Fortunately for us, he still had it over for us, but basically got his minutes almost cut in half after Spoelstra said he played him too much in his return. So expect the bench role to continue. Maybe he plays a little bit more than the 19 he played last game, but certainly 30 seems a little bit unlikely. Tough matchup. Memphis is playing really well. Really good Miami defense. This is really the gross game of the slate. But yeah, expecting Jimmy to get Dylan Brooks' matchup. Tyler Hero. Probably see a little bit of Brooks when Jimmy's off the court as well. Tough matchup for Bam. The interior defense is held up with Xavier Tillman, Jaren Jackson, and those guys. But yeah, and we should also note that Omer at 7 picked up all the non-Bam minutes. That was something I wanted to keep an eye on. They just don't think Love can play the 5 at all, which I certainly agree with.
All right, let's move to Jalen McDaniels for the Sixers. Questionable tag here. You were highlighting in our Slack earlier the need to assume out. So talk about your inclination that Jalen McDaniels will not be available tonight.
Yeah, it was a pretty legit injury. No practice yesterday, no shoot around. I mean, there's no need to play him. They've got plenty of wings in Daniel House, and maybe they play a little bit of shake. They've obviously got Melton, whose minutes get cut down a little bit. Curious to see how they shake things out here. Especially with Mobley, Jared Allen out on the other side. I wonder if they would dare. We haven't seen them do this. Pull Tucker out, play the double guard lineup with Tyrese Maxey and D'Anthony Melton. I would still think that's unlikely to happen. So expecting a starting lineup of James Harden, Maxey, Embiid, Tobias Harris, and PJ Tucker. But no McDaniels, who guards a bit. That actually helps Melton some makes him viable-ish. Not great, especially with Embiid having a 40 usage rate lately. But and Harden's been playing a pretty good bit. Usage rate's actually down, drives it down too. But yeah, I'm not too big of a takeaway. It'll help. It'll keep George Niang kind of in the rotation too after he's been kind of spotty at times.
Let's move to Minnesota, where Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid both questionable. Naz was a surprise kind of scratch last game when a lot of people were wondering if Gobert was going to miss. And I know people in season long had picked up Naz with the hopes that Gobert would miss a game, then Naz misses a game. So 2 Q tags for the Minnesota Bigs tonight. What's your expectation here?
Not a back-to-back here. They have a back-to-back coming up over the weekend. So in that instance, I would be a little bit more cautious on Gobert. Naz doesn't sound serious. We saw Luka Garza pick up the non-Gobert minutes because they wanted an offensive center, according to Chris Finch. In this spot, I don't think you want that against Boston. I thought Garza played pretty well, so maybe they do just want to lean into it. But Nate Knight would definitely fit a scheme more so than a Garza would. I talked a lot about this when the Blazers played the Celtics, where I thought Trendon Watford made a lot more sense again instead of Drew Eubanks. So very sort of similar situation here. If Naz is out, obviously if Naz is in, this is completely a moot point. But yeah, full minutes for Gobert. I don't think he's going to be too affected by the switchy scheme and the wings that'll be attacking them on the other side. But it should be pretty straightforward. And Kyle Anderson, just oh my god, this guy is absolutely dominating right now. Triple double. I'm curious to see if he carves out minutes another way, because I think they need a wing defense with Taurean Prince, and how that would come about. Maybe cuts in Conley. Seems unlikely, but certainly Kyle Anderson has earned a really significant role right now.
Let's talk about Houston. Alperen Sengun, you had warned about the probable tag last game. He ends up getting ruled out before the game for that one. What are your thoughts on his likelihood of playing tonight?
He's listed with a strain. That is concerning. That's usually a thing that requires multiple games. That probable to questionable tag, certainly pretty shady. And then changing the injury designation, also very scary. Usually means they're missing this game. So I think he's out. Definitely a spot where they would. I guess it's not definite, but it seems like they would start Tari Eason just because they played so well coming off their biggest win of the season. Jabari Smith is red hot. He's been putting the ball on the floor more, making both pull-ups and catch and shoots more. His off-dribble game has been really stepping up. So clearly benefiting. KJ Martin really stepped up. Kevin Porter Jr. absolutely mashed role-wise. Big ball handling, drives were up. Tons of potential assists, 20-something. So those guys would all really benefit. Jalen Green's been shooting a bunch, came off a rough shooting game, but get up 29 shots, 11 free throws. Those guys would all really benefit against the Lakers defense, which has been great lately. But we'll get to this in a second. No Anthony Davis, still waiting for their full injury report. But could be if Sengun's out, it's could be open season for a lot of Rockets.
Yeah, also noteworthy. I mean, this was basically an 8-man rotation that they played. The 5 starters playing 35 or more minutes, 1 bench player over 12 minutes, really, really tight last game. So you could have another fantasy-friendly environment for Houston where you're removing a lot of usage, a lot of rebound, a lot of assist rate from Alperen Sengun. Certainly still replacing it with a guy like Tari Eason, who's a fairly big rates player himself, but certainly can't contribute the same level of offense in terms of usage as Sengun against first unit players at this point in his career. So a lot of that usage spills over. You saw Jalen Green 29 shots last game. Let's move to the Bulls. Alex Caruso listed questionable now. Not uncommon to see questionable tags for Alex Caruso. Any thoughts on his injury and availability tonight?
Yeah, the doom and gloom midday illness tag. We've usually seen players miss this one, so we'll see. This obviously is a huge piece of information for De'Aaron Fox, who goes from a bad matchup to what will be a great one there. So when you guys talk DFS, I would chalk me up and saying like I would be in on Fox if Caruso's out. I'll be in chat though if you guys want to join me there, which I just did, so I don't need to say it anymore. But yeah, we would get Patrick Williams getting in the starting lineup. Patrick Beverley generally unaffected. Mentioned the Fox stuff. Zach LaVine's been shocking lately. We've seen his usage rate spike. Pretty good matchup against the Kings. We'll talk about Trey Lyles in a little bit, but yeah, pretty straightforward. Definitely benefits Patrick Williams quite a bit though.
Let's move to the players that are going to be missing tonight. Still no Time Lord for Boston tonight. Otherwise, fully healthy there. Any other notes on the Celtics?
Yeah, just some frustrations from Joe Mazzulla regarding fouling, second chance points allowed and scored, and just playing poorly. They're not the same. It's not about. They're still getting a ton of threes up. They're not getting enough pressure on the rim. We talked a lot about this in the preseason, and it was frustrating to see Malcolm Brogdon not get bigger minutes early in the year. Like he's getting them now. They need to attack, especially with the way the Wolves defend. They run a lot of high defensive coverages. You need more ball handling out there. So this is a sneaky Brogdon spot for me. Horford also, we talk a lot about this too. Against Gobert, who likes to hang around the basket. If your big man can shoot threes, Horford could have a pretty bright green light. And these other bigs, they just don't have it. Missoula doesn't trust them, so this could be um, a not a skim milk version of chocolate milk here. I could see him playing a pretty good bit in like a tighter rotation. Things are kind of really bad in Boston right now.
You mentioned Trey Lyles suspended for Sacramento tonight. Who fills his role with him serving the suspension?
It's going to be kind of a mixture. Obviously, Chimezie Metu will be locking down the non-Sabonis minutes, but given the matchup and given that you've got two wings on the other side who can score the ball a bunch, namely Zach LaVine, Kessler Edwards, I think, is a guy who could be a sneaky beneficiary. We've seen Kessler Edwards cut into Keegan Murray. We see him cut into Kevin Huerter. Nobody else, but Harrison Barnes will pick up the DeMar. But I could see Kessler Edwards being a guy who could sneak up there and really be one of the main bench guys. I think it could help Monk if things shake out right. Wouldn't be surprised to see Terrence Davis kind of get in the rotation there. We've seen him guard a lot of threes at times. So really those three guys are on top of adding a little bit of a minutes floor to Keegan and Huerter. But I would expect Monk's role to be a little bit more secure. I think Kessler's for sure in the rotation today. And then I would expect Terrence Davis to pick up basically most of those minutes. I don't think they would go pretty tight here.
It sounds like that should help Keegan Murray, whose minutes have been fluctuating a little bit more as well, because they've been fluctuating to get Edwards on the floor. If there's a clearer path for Edwards on the floor, then Murray's minutes should be more stable a little bit as well. Another player that's out tonight, Jared Allen, who's still out. Josh in chat was asking, any chance that the Cavs starting Robin Lopez for the matchup against Joel Embiid tonight? Donovan Mitchell back. Rubio not listed on the injury report for a back-to-back, although I seem to remember earlier that this happened and he didn't play, but maybe I'm making a mistake on that. What are your thoughts on the Cavs tonight?
Yeah, I get the Lopez thing. The old sacrificial lamb, eat some minutes up. We saw him put Lopez in the rotation. What was it, 2 games ago, I want to say? He's like, oh, yeah, I want to get a little bit more size in the rotation there. So, yeah, I mean, that was the Charlotte game, if I remember. Yeah, he put him out there for 9 minutes 2 games ago against Charlotte. Why wouldn't you do that here? We've seen him do this before as well. Not this season, but last season we saw him do that. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I still would lean that they go with Lamar Stevens because he's been playing so well, but that's certainly possible, just a way to eat minutes. And so if Mobley gets in foul trouble, your rotation is really in trouble. So that certainly makes a lot of sense. But I don't think it would be viable. Just be like, okay, let me eat these first 5-6 minutes of each half. That way I'm not in the hole.
Yeah, I guess it would be like a 16-minute type role.
Yeah.
It would be ideally what they'd be trying to do, and just, basically take half of the time that Embiid's on the floor and try to give it to Robin Lopez and the other half to Mobley as much as you can.
Or could it even be Wade. They put Wade in kind of post defense every once in a while.
Yeah. All right. And then
But I should add, Donovan Mitchell went through a full workout yesterday. It's just a pure rest thing. So expect him to be 100%. We shouldn't be managing his minutes at all.
Probables and returns notes. Jonathan Kuminga listed probable now. No Andre Iguodala tonight. Any thoughts on how that impacts the Warriors?
Yeah, matchup's really important to note here. You're going up against some big wings in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So that makes me think, does Kuminga start for Looney? Looney's been playing great. I think that's a little unlikely, but I would expect to see a pretty early sub for Kuminga here to pick up the Kawhi Leonard matchup. Dante DiVincenzo guarding Paul George there. It sounded like Kuminga was pretty close to returning. He lost a boot, I think it was 3-4 games ago. Was never really a lot of concern after pulling the Kevin Durant layup line ankle roll. I feel like Kuminga will play a pretty good bit. He's been playing pretty well. I'd like to hear your take since you're the resident Kuminga hater. I don't think you are anymore though. This to me, we've seen. I'm excited about we took a Jordan Poole under. I'm very excited about it. I think that just adding more size in the wing, you need more wing defense. Obviously, you're not taking Steph minutes out. Klay Thompson looks really healthy right now. He guarded Devin Booker the last game. I don't think they really want to play Steph, Klay, and Poole too many minutes together. So I think Poole's minutes could be really cut down here with Kuminga coming back. So I felt really strongly about the Jordan Poole under we took earlier today. Obviously, Draymond Green's going to play a pretty good bit. So a big game here. This game is, again, they're basically playing for 5th place. We were in the same spot here like last week. So really great nightcap for ESPN. Basically on an island that has a 90-minute cushion from the rest of the games tonight.
Yeah. I don't know if is there still a Kuminga hive out there? It's been very quiet this year around Kuminga because the last year and a half, it was all about how, Kuminga is a future star and they're clearing the path for him and all these things. And great. He's able to hold a 18-minute bench role on a team with no bench. Like, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's what everybody expected from Kuminga at this point, but hopefully, like I've always said with him, if he plays to try to be good and not great, I think he can be really, really good. When he tries to be great, it gets ugly. But yeah, that will do it. I think no other information. Back-to-backs that we're waiting on. You mentioned the Lakers. I guess we can talk about that real quickly. No Anthony Davis, but any other notes that you have in terms of expectations for what we might see with the Lakers tonight?
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a little tied to Şengün. I think if Şengün's out and they go small, I think there's a pretty good chance they start Jared Vanderbilt as a center. I talked a lot about this last time when we talked about when they had – this is different because they had Mo Bamba back then. But the last time AD missed, I thought they wouldn't role change Vanderbilt. So if the Rockets are going to play 5 out, you're not changing them too much. So I think that they would start Rui Hachimura if Şengün's out. If Şengün's in, I think they would start Wenyen Gabriel to give him that matchup down there. He's really the only center they got on the team, traditional one. Again, Vanderbilt he fits the system of being a center. He's a very good rim protector, really good rebounder. They could certainly switch him into that role. So, I would keep it. I think either way, Wenyen Gabriel plays pretty good minutes, but Rui Hachimura really benefits. Troy Brown benefits a little bit. Malik Beasley finally snapped his slump, comes up with a big 7 3-pointers. I think he had 6 in the first half. Really shot the lights out early. Austin Reeves benefits. Could certainly get away going a little bit smaller as well. So, yeah, expect them to step up. Dennis Schroeder's minutes did get cut a little bit in the last game after he was getting a lot of overlap. He would obviously benefit. You need more scoring and offense and all that stuff. So he would all, but really just everyone benefits. And D'Angelo, I think D'Angelo's in a huge spot today. We love attacking guards against the Rockets. More usage going his way. If it wasn't a back-to-back, I would have covered more D'Angelo Russell today. I feel really good about his upside. Very excited about this. It's lit in Texas today, man. We got the Houston Lakers game, Dallas San Antonio game. That's where all the fantasy goodness is today. So I'm pretty excited about it. Everything's bigger in Texas, including the fantasy value.
Can have the fantasy goodness and then finish it off with hopefully actually good basketball tonight with the Warriors and Clippers. All right, that'll do it for us for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, please support the people who are supporting us. This show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have daily NBA snake drafts for money, running NBA playoff contests like the dance as well that you can prepare for. We'll be working towards rankings and content for those for our subscribers as well. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tool to compare each ETR projections to their fantasy Pick'em games. If you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for matching deposit bonus up to $100. That's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com. Behind the paywall tonight, 5 o'clock Eastern time at establishedrun.com, myself and Gary Hartman will be breaking down this NBA slate, talking about good chalk, bad chalk, contrarian pivots, rules and groups to make in optimizers or hand builds, and of course, those flag plants. So join us at 5 o'clock Eastern, establishedrun.com, behind the paywall for our premium show, Establish the Show. As always, if you are uninterested in giving us your hard-earned dollars, we do ask for your hard-earned clicks. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live. And of course, smash that like button and help feed that algorithm for us. It helps us feed our families. We can keep feeding you the DFS injury analysis and information you need to make your DFS lineups, your spread bets, your prop bets, so on and so forth. Enjoy the games tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern. In the midst of March Madness tomorrow, we will be live. I'm sure you'll all be tuned in. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody.